Hi Stampers! Good morning. Sorry I'm running a few minutes behind. I'm going to make sure I have my camera set correctly because I'm going to flip you in a minute. But in case you're new and just joining me, hi guys, I'm Rachel from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a wax paper card, good morning Jeannie, on glossy cardstock using a brayer and an iron. So lots of fun stuff, but before we get started with that, good morning Christina, I wanted to show you guys just a couple things. So I'm gonna try as gracefully as I can to flip you over, and I'm probably not gonna see your comments for just a minute, so I apologize, bear with me here. Yeah. And let's see, nope, there's my hand. Well, this is gonna be a little bit dicier than I thought. Let me see if I can scoot this over just a smidge. And then I can bring this down just a little. Sorry, I know this is not the best way, but where I usually film, I don't typically need an ironing board. So it's kind of throwing my game off a little bit here. Good morning, Janice and Karen, and actually I can see you, so hopefully that will work. I am going to get started by turning on my iron. You don't need anything fancy. And you want your iron to be low. So I actually turned mine on earlier and then turned it back off again. And I can touch it now, it's just like slightly warm, because basically all you're doing is you want to warm the wax up enough that it transfers from the paper to the cardstock, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to turn it on to minimum just so it clicks, and then it'll actually turn on. And then I'm going to kind of turn it down from there. So I'm just turning my iron on, and I'm going to let it sit here while I go over a couple things with you today. And let me straighten this out just a smidge. Okay, so a couple things I wanted to talk to you about, which are Stampin' blends. And again, I apologize because this is a little bit shaky just because of the way this is set up. So the Stampin' blends are a new alcohol, I should say new and improved alcohol marker that Stampin' Up! Put out. They will be available for purchase November 1st to everyone. And when you get them, you'll get this nice little brochure that will kind of tell you some stuff about how to color with them and how to make it easier. You get a light and a dark shade of each marker. And then they also have these other two things that you can purchase alongside: a Color Me Happy stamp set and then a Color Me Happy card kit. And you can get them as a bundle, but it will kind of give you some really good, there's some great stamps in here. And these two lanterns are my absolute favorite. I love these Chinese lanterns. They are so pretty. And I made a really fun card for my stamp club tonight. I just made it at the last minute, so they're going to make a card with the Stampin' blends with this. But basically you get this little brochure, and then you can buy the markers as a bundle. You can buy the kit and the stamp set together. You can buy the markers as a single. So those will be available again November 1st at rachthestamper.stampinup.net, so you can go there and get that. And then I just want to show you a couple more things. So I did put a post on about what kind of card everyone would like to make, and I really only got about 2 responses, and they said birthday. So I went ahead and decided we're going to do a birthday card. And then we can also kind of go outside the box after the fact if anybody else has some ideas. So this is the holiday catalog. If you don't have it yet, if you send me an email, rachthestamper@gmail.com, I'll be happy to send you one. And then I'm just going to show you a couple things quickly before we get started. So the glossy cardstock, and again, I'm going to try to do this without setting anything on fire or melting my arm. So the glossy cardstock is in the annual catalog, and it's back here. Hi Tammy, good morning. It's back here in the back, and they shouldn't really say new, they should say it's back, because I think people would buy it then. Because when I used to stamp a long time ago with a group of ladies, we used this, and that's actually when we made this card the first time. So I haven't made this card in probably 10 or 7 years. So hopefully it's going to go as planned. We'll see. I'm hoping. And then what I thought we could use as well is the Sizzix adhesive paper, and that is in the back of the catalog as well. And again, I'm sorry, this is kind of a convoluted setup here. So the Sizzix basically will make anything stick. So I thought we could use the Happy Birthday Thinlit, and the multi-purpose adhesive sheets make it really easy to add that to your card or whatever it is you want to do. And I thought we could either do it with silver foil, or we could do it with oh my goodness, Dazzling Diamonds glimmer paper. So we'll see which one we're gonna do. Facebook Live in the ER. Oh my goodness, Christina, I'm so sorry. I hope you're doing well. That stinks. All right, I'm going to see if I can bring this down just a teeny bit lower just so I can get a little bit closer. And again, so sorry about the tripod. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of get started on what we're going to do here. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need, let me move all this stuff out of the way. You're going to need some wax paper. Doesn't really matter what. You can get wax paper from the dollar store. It doesn't need to be excessively waxy. What we're just doing basically is like an emboss resist. And you're going to need an iron. So like I said, again, any iron's fine. This is a little warm. I'm going to actually just iron onto this little tea towel that I have here just to see how warm it is because I don't want it to be too hot. It's still fairly cool. All right, I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. So I have it right now on the synthetic setting, which should make it slightly warm. Okay. Hi, Lori and Karen. I'm sorry. Good morning, ladies. So you are going to also need a tea towel. I don't know if people even call them that anymore, but like a drying your dish towel that you don't put out anymore because it might have stains on it. And I use these a lot also to clean up with, like clean up my Stampin' blocks, or if I'm making something with glue, I'll like wash my hands off with a baby wipe and then wipe it off with this or dry stuff off. And an iron, I know, right? Do people even iron anymore? So if you don't iron, now you can make cards with it. That's probably about the only thing I use it for. I really don't even iron my scrubs. So, all right, the other thing we're going to need is glossy cardstock, okay? So this is two-sided. If you haven't seen it, it's got a shiny side and a dull side. I know people do things with both sides, but I haven't figured out what to do with this one yet. So I usually will do this. You can use your re-inkers and some rubbing alcohol. You could use a brayer. You can stamp it and then color it in with the Stampin' blends as well. Yes, it is. It's just for crafting. Iron's strictly for crafting. So what you're going to need is just a piece of glossy cardstock, and I'm going to actually do two. So I'm going to do one and we'll do the birthday with it, and then I'll do another one and we will kind of figure out something else to do with it because I had a different idea before somebody suggested the birthday, and we'll go with that. Okay, so let me just move all this out of the way so I don't have any crafting malfunctions because that would not be good. Hey Rhonda, how you doing? Okay, so you have your iron. And again, I just want to heat test it because you don't want to burn your cardstock. That would not be good because then your iron will be yucky and everything. And the tea towel is basically just to prevent any transfer. All right, so that's fairly warm. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to just take your wax paper and you're going to rip just a piece of it off. It doesn't really make a difference how big it is or anything. And wax paper, I guess unless you get maybe super cheap wax paper, but I can't imagine. It should be waxy on both sides. So honestly, oh yeah, ink and shaving cream. That is another great idea as well. I've not tried that myself. But honestly, any wax paper should be fine. And then you're just going to crumble it. So you're going to crumble it however you want. And this is going to make every card different. Okay, so if you don't want a card that's quite as crinkly, you could just crumble it slightly less, if that makes sense. So now you're going to take your glossy cardstock. Okay, we're going to set that down. We're going to put our wax paper on it. And at this point, if you wanted to smooth it out a little bit, you could. Just like that. And just so you know, everyone, right now I'm saying a little prayer that this is actually going to work because you know me, I haven't tested this beforehand. I'm just, once again, flying by the seat of my pants. So we're going to lay our tea towel on top and then we're going to just press the iron to it. Okay, so what should happen, I'm going to try to keep this still. What should happen is it should transfer the wax to the glossy cardstock and then basically it's just going to make like an embossed resist. So when you color it, your ink will be where the wax isn't. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit more because essentially you are just melting the wax to your cardstock. All right, let me give this a second. Stampin' Rogue. Yeah, you got that right. That's pretty much every Stampin' that I ever do, Rhonda. You know me well enough that you know everything should be stamping on the fly. That's what I should call myself. I really had toyed with the idea of the sarcastic stamper because that would be my other main thing. Stamping on the fly, stamping with Rach as she grabs the supplies while she's making it.com. That's just a little bit too much to ask people to type. No, it shouldn't be melting wax to the ironing board, but that is a really good point. Jeannie, we probably should mention that we have 2 ironing boards because we combined 2 houses into one. So this is mine. I didn't get out the good ironing board. But as Tammy said, you know, ironing, who even irons anymore anyway? So that is probably a super good point. It would be a much better idea. Oh, you can see it starting to transfer there. So I'm going to show you that before we continue. I don't know if you can see that or not. You can see the dark spaces. That's the wax. Okay. So we'll do with what Jeannie said, which might be a good suggestion. We're going to put the towel back down first. And then I'm going to put my rest of my cardstock. So it only did about half of it. So I'm going to just move a piece that I know hasn't transferred yet over here. We'll kind of go on top, and then we'll just lay this over. So you don't want a really thick towel. We did this before when I did it with bath towels, and they're a little too thick. So I mean, worst case scenario, you make your trip to the dollar store, get yourself some cheap wax paper, get yourself a cheap dollar hand towel. That way, God forbid, you don't the setting of the iron is low, so you're gonna have to toy with it. Depending, if you have a really old iron, they probably heat up really well. So I was on synthetic, which was a little too cool, so I went to wool. So you want it on a low setting. You don't want high, because then you have a chance of scorching it, and you kind of want to keep moving it around. And then you can also just set your iron to the side and check it, because you can completely see that the wax, there we go, this is beautiful now. The wax is transferring. I'm going to move this up just one more time, just so I have it all over. So I'm going to just cover one more time, and then carefully, so I don't knock this whole setup over, I'm going to go over top, and I'm going to just go over the whole thing one more time. Okay. Old tea towel. That is absolutely what I am using, an old tea towel, Therese. And good morning, Carol. So we'll see how this goes. I think we should be good now. All right, so let's see. Okay, so we have one, and while I have the iron out, I'm going to go ahead and do another one before we move over to the normal stamping area. That way I don't make anybody sick. So in case you can't see, it is a little difficult to see on this because of the light, but it kind of looks like a cheetah or a zebra. You can see just the flecks of wax. Now, if you want more wax, you would basically just crumple it less. So we're going to do that this time, okay? So I'm going to set this one on the side. And then we have another piece of cardstock here. And I'm going to grab one more piece of wax paper, and I'm going to just not crinkle it quite as much this time. So what you do is, again, if you're just joining us, you just grab your sheet of wax paper and you kind of crinkle it. So this one will do less. That way it doesn't have quite as much of a hard pattern, like a tiny pattern, I guess I should say. Okay, and we're going to just put this down again. We're going to cover it up with our tea towel. Let me make sure that's on there. And then we're going to just iron over top of it, okay? And then we'll do one in the birthday card, which is the idea I have. And then I'll kind of show you something else maybe we can do with a Christmas card if this is something you want to do. But you do need the glossy cardstock, which is in the back of the annual catalog. You need some wax paper. You need your iron. You need a tea towel. You need a little bit of patience, because you're probably not gonna knock it right on the first time, but you're gonna have to figure out what you want your iron to be set on, because you want a low to medium setting just to transfer the wax. All right, let me take a look and see. Okay, so that's just starting. So let me hit this a little bit harder. I'm going to keep it still just for a minute. And then we will move over to one other spot for a minute. Yeah. And then what we're going to do is we're going to color it in with some ink, and I'll show you a couple different ways we can do that. We can do it with a sponge brayer. If you still have the old school style brayer, that's the one I did it with the first time. Or you could use sponge daubers, or you could use ink. I'm not sure, Carol, about that, if glossy photo paper would work. It might. You could try it. I haven't done that. This is a technique that I revived from many years ago, stamping with some friends before I was a demonstrator. So, all right, it's looking great. I just have one more little spot over here on the corner. I want to make sure this one's covered a little bit more full. So you could actually color this in, and then you could cut it out with framelits or thinlits. I thought a really fun idea to do would be to use that the stocking builder that's in the holiday catalog, and then you could color this in and then cut out some stockings. That would be super fun. All right, one more spot at the top, and then we'll be ready. Okay. So did anybody get their hands on the plaid paper pumpkin? If you didn't, that's what I'm going to give away today again. So if you leave a comment, I'm going to give away the October Pining for Plaid paper pumpkin. So all you have to do is leave a comment. Last week there was a little bit of an issue with the Pining for Pumpkins, and some people spelled it incorrectly and whatnot. So just leave a comment. Any comment, one comment to win. And you do have to be in the United States unless you want to pay the shipping to get it where you're going, which probably wouldn't be worth it, quite honestly. Okay, so here is our second card. So this one you can see has a little bit more veining in it. See if I can show you that a little bit better. Has a little bit more veining. Once we get over to the other thing, you should definitely be able to see it better. So, you were born on Halloween. Oh my gosh, what an awesome birthday that would be. I would love that myself. Okay, so I'm going to turn the iron off. That way, just in case I make any whoopsies. And I'm going to move you. Alright, so what we're going to try to do, I'm going to keep you in this stand. So, I'm sorry right now. Let me slide you over here. I'm going to see if this works. I usually film in a different stand. So this thing is going to kind of be in the way. So I think I might move you just so I don't end up knocking something over, because that would probably be my luck. So hang on one sec. Let me just slip you up here. And slip you over. Ugh, okay, avert your eyes. Sorry if I'm making anyone seasick. Okay, wow, that worked. That worked. Okay. Paper pumpkin kit, I know. Those were wildly popular. They sold out. They sold the kits in a half hour, which is insanely amazing. A half hour. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're moving on here, and we have, let me get this out of the way. We have our two pieces. So I don't know how well you can see them on the white paper. If you can't, I was going to say, let me see if you, I'm going to move the background just for a second and show off this beautiful table my grandfather made me. This is out of old oak church benches, but you might be able to pick up the colors a little bit better there. Let me get rid of one of these lights. Not so much. Okay. You have to trust me. You'll see it once we color it. But basically you have, this is the one we crumpled a lot. So it's tiny, tiny pieces. This is the one we didn't crumple as much. So there's much more wax on this paper. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add in some color. So someone suggested a birthday card because they haven't seen many birthday cards lately. So we'll do one as a birthday card, and then the other one we will do as a Christmas card. Okay. So I figured, I made a really cool card the other day using Calypso Coral, Pool Party, Bermuda Bay, and then I thought if we don't like that so much, we can add in a little bit of Perfect Plum. So those are the colors we're going to work with. So let me open these up. And what I'm going to do is I'm giving my pad a squeeze, so there's a pool here of ink. If your pad isn't juicy, you could always just drop a little bit of re-inker in. Oh, forgot to do that one. You could drop some re-inker in. And again, this is going to depend on the way you want to do it. If you're going to do it with your sponge brayer, so I'll show you the first one with the sponge brayer, you're going to want to use the top. Alright, so I'm going to save the big one for the other project. So this is the smaller wax transfer. So you could use, if you still have your old rubber brayer, I really, really miss this one. Hoping one day they bring it back. But they also now have these fabulous sponge brayers. These give a much lighter ink transfer, which is actually probably a little bit better for people who are learning how to do this, because this you could kind of roll over it and it would be like something you wouldn't believe. So I'm going to use the sponge brayer. It comes with 2 handles. And then you get 4 sponges. You can rinse them out, just like the same thing with your sponges. You can rinse them out and use them for different colors. So we're going to do this first. And this is with Calypso Coral. One bit of advice I will give you is with the old linen ink pads, it's okay to be a little bit more rough. But with the new foam pads, you have to be careful so you don't rip your foam pad with this little piece here. So you want to be a little bit more delicate. So this is the Calypso Coral, and we're just going to roll over. Okay, just like that, and it does give you a resisted color. It kind of looks very mottled, if you can see that there. And then what I'm going to do, I have my little paper towel here, is you can just kind of wipe off your ink as you go along, and you can really see the wax now. Okay, so you can really see the wax that you added. Now, if you want, so I'm going to close this up so I don't ruin it. We're going to move this out of the way. So if you want to add a little more color, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a sponge dauber, and we're going to use the, we'll start with Pool Party first. So I'm going to just dip this in, and we'll kind of go around the side. Now this might not do as much because I went over so much of the wax. I'm thinking I went a little too far already, sadly, which is not surprising for me. Yep. Okay, so no big deal. We have our thing over here. So worst case scenario, we can always bring it back again. So basically, if you're going to do it in steps, it does have a slight bit of Pool Party there on the edges. I'm going to try to do the Bermuda Bay before I really say it's a bust. And we'll get another piece. Bermuda Bay is a little bit darker of an ink, so it might work a little bit better. That's what you get for not practicing ahead of time, Rachel, see? All right, and we'll do this a little bit more. Okay, now let me move this out of the way. I'm going to close these up just so I don't inadvertently stick my hand in it. And going to do the same thing with rubbing it off. No, it definitely picked up some of the color there. Absolutely, it colored over it. So now we have kind of a little bit more of a tie-dye. And now we'll add in, just as a final touch, let me grab a sponge for this because I'm not sure how a sponge will work. I'm sure it'll work the same, but we're going to do a sponge, and I'm actually going to take this off the pad. This is a little bit of Perfect Plum, and I'm going to just kind of do this a little bit lightly over top. So we have our lightest color in the center. That was Calypso Coral. And then I had a little bit of Pool Party on the end. I put Bermuda Bay more towards the center, and then that is Perfect Plum. And again, we're just going to take our paper towel and kind of rub off the rest of it. So, if you can see that, it's got definitely a mottled look. It's kind of like a tie-dye almost. Okay, so what you can do with this now is you can take your card and you can cut it, trim it, make it to something. But what we're going to do in the meantime is I'm going to do one other thing. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this yet, so I'm going to show you how to do this. So I'm going to trim this up real quick, and we're going to make this into just a very simple birthday card. So I'm going to trim this down to 5 1/4 by 4. And then pretty much once it's dry, it's not bleeding onto my fingers. It's very shiny. It's really very pretty. We're going to lay this onto a piece of, let's see, what do I have here? We'll layer it on the piece of Perfect Plum. Ooh, that's not the right size. Of course, my Perfect Plum's not open. So instead of Perfect Plum, we'll go with Fresh Fig. How about that? I have a brand new pack of Perfect Plum, and I don't want you to have to go through the time of waiting for me to open that. That could take all day. So I have a piece of Fresh Fig, and we're just going to cut and score this to a regular card base. So 4 1/4 by 11, score it 5 1/2. We're going to attach that onto there so you can see that a little bit better. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you one other thing. I'm going to show you, actually I tell you, having this ironing board is handy. I have a whole other thing to set my paper onto. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the Happy Birthday Thinlits die. Okay, we're going to use this with the Sizzix paper, and that is going to make it stick better. But what we're going to use is, where did I put? I got them both out. So this is the Sizzix. These are the sheets. So it is a whole sheet. You can attach this to half of a sheet of cardstock. It's a little bit bigger if you'd like. You can trim it up. What we're going to do is we're going to just take a piece right now. We're going to just cut it off and trim it. Okay, and we're going to use, I was thinking to use Dazzling Diamonds, but I think since this is so much softer, how about if we use foil? So what we'll do is we're going to attach it to a piece of foil. So this is silver foil paper. Champagne would be really pretty as well. And we're going to figure, if you're going to attach it to this, we'll just kind of trim this to fit. All right, just eyeball that. Okay, so we're going to take the adhesive off of the back of this. Okay, so this is just like the wax laminator, so you can throw that out. And then you're going to just stick this to the back, just like that. Okay, now let me grab my Big Shot. My coworker and I, unfortunately, he has the joy of listening to me talk about cards all the time, and he always gets a kick out of the Big Shot. So if you're watching, Brian, here's the Big Shot live and in action. So we're going to put our happy birthday die down on there, and we're going to run this through the Big Shot. All right, and then we're going to pull this out. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, so then this is going to pop out very easily, first of all. But you're going to also now have the adhesive all the way on it. Well, I should say it should pop off fairly easily. It's going to come right off of there. All right. Sorry. This is a little worse than I thought. Hold on. It's sticking to my fingers. That's the good piece, though, part. You do get all the little pieces off. So you don't have to worry about digging those pieces out. You just stick these together over here. And you have your big middle piece. All right, so this is already completely sticky. So if it's easier for you, again, doing this the non-Rachel way, you could pass it twice. That way it'll come out still adhered. But I'm going to just pop this directly on. Ooh, that one was stuck on there. I'm going to pop this directly onto the card, and then we'll adhere that down. A couple little pieces here. See, this is what happens when you decide to do a Facebook Live, and instead of just going crazy like you normally do in your jammies, I actually put a tiny bit of effort in this morning. I must have thrown off my regular mojo. All right. I'm just trying to get this bee out. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, she doesn't want to come out. Hold on, let me get my snips. I'm going to just trim right along the edge here. If I can get my scissors in there. All right, that should be enough to break it free. There we go. Okay. All right, so again, learning from me, what you want to do is make sure that you put your thing through 2 times so it comes out already with the backing on it, which is normally what happens. And you don't have to worry about picking things off. Get that little bit of one. But this already has the adhesive on it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to sit this right here. Get all these stickies off of my hand, and we're going to just stick it directly. It really isn't that hard to use, that adhesive paper, I swear. It's really not. It's super easy. It makes things come out so much better, except when you're doing it live on camera. Okay, so how's that? Really easy. So you did a little bit of a background with your wax paper. You can make this any color that you want. And then basically you just have your happy birthday on there with the adhesive. So the only thing we have to do, oops, let me get that little piece off of there, is just put some fast fuse on the back and pop that onto a base. You just add your little insert there, put a white panel in so you have something to do, and there you go. Easy. Very, very easy card. And if you have your iron out handy, what you could do is you could do a whole bunch of these at the same time, and then you could make them however you want. So while we have time, and since I already did one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another card, but instead we'll do it in a little bit of a holiday color. So I'll see what we can pull out for that one. Let me get these out of the way. So we will get out, I really like Cherry Cobbler better than Real Red personally for Christmas cards, but if you guys would like Real Red, I will do Real Red instead. Absolutely. Hi Diana, hi Catherine, thanks guys for joining today. I appreciate it. So what we're going to do is we will use our other piece that we haven't done yet. So this is the piece that has a little bit more wax on it. So this was kind of, again, this was a tighter crumble with the wax paper, so you get tinier pieces of the wax on there to basically draw or emboss onto or reverse emboss onto. So this one we didn't crumble as much, so there is more wax on this. So what we'll do with this one is we're going to do Garden Green and Cherry Cobbler. I really, really love Cherry Cobbler. It is one of my favorite colors, not even just for Christmas cards, just in general. It's just such a rich color. I really, really like it. Okay, so let me see. What we will do instead with this one is we'll do sponging. So we're going to just use sponges for this one. And just in case, I don't know how you guys keep your stuff, but on a side note, I also really like cookies. So what I do is I get these really good chocolate top cookies, and they come in these really nice containers, and then I'll just keep my sponge daubers in them. I did label some of them so I know which one to use, but once you clean them out, you can use them for anything. So I have one of these with sponge daubers in it, and one of them with sponges in it, and same thing, just have my used sponges in it. So it just kind of keeps them all together, and then I keep them in a box, so they're pretty easy to get to. All right, so this is a quarter of a sponge, so we're going to use Garden Green and Cherry Cobbler. We'll do the Cherry Cobbler first. They're both dark colors, but we'll do this one first just to see. And I might add just a little bit of re-inker to this, just so it's a little bit darker. Because to show you how old this re-inker is. Look at the label on that one. It's turning yellow. But that also goes to show you how long they last. So I definitely recommend, if you buy your ink pads, to get a re-inker as well with it, so you're not really sad after the fact. Wow, look at that. So that has way more wax on it. Look how much darker that looks. That is really neat. So I say you should get your re-inker at the same time. Just that way, sometimes, you know, they change things, and who knows, if God forbid something sells out. And I've had people before that have paid a ridiculous amount, myself included, to get a refill on eBay. It is so not worth it. Don't do that to yourself. I just usually will buy them at the same time, and that's what I'll tell people in the stamp club, just to get them. Now, for all you Italians on there, that would make a beautiful Italian card. And we can keep going. So we'll just kind of move this around a little bit. And what I'm going to do, ooh, I just did, that was not a smart idea. I just stamped from one to the other. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this off just a little bit, just so we can see where our line is. It's really pretty. Okay. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of this Cherry Cobbler onto the green side as well. And we'll do the same thing. So kind of just mixing them together, and it just really depends on how you want your card to look. If you want to do a whole base. The good part about this, it will never look the same. You will not ever have two cards that look the same. They're going to look completely different depending on how you ball your wax. And you can always keep adding more ink if you want it to be darker. Or again, just make sure that you ink up your pads really well. Let's rub this off. All right. So now what you can do is you could take you could do this for a fall card as well. That would be super fun. You could take your die, and you could run this through. So, of course, I don't have it handy, but you could take your stocking die, and you could cut this out. So you could make a different stocking. You could adhere this. You could do this also. This would be really fun to use the pillow die that comes with that as well. And you could make your own little Christmas pillow gifts, and just add stuff into them. And then you could pop on a really nice Christmas greeting, but you could do this for absolutely any holiday. It's really fun. The ones we did that were the most fun, which is what we started with actually, were Halloween. So we did this with black ink. And it kind of gave that creepy gauze Halloween look, like a spider look. And it's so fun too because it's so shiny. So I hope you guys will give this technique a try. It really is a lot of fun. And like I said, everything is different every single time you do it. And again, you just basically need some wax paper, you need an iron, you need a old tea towel, dish towel, whatever it is that you like to call them, one that you don't care if it's going to get messed up. And you're just going to iron your wax paper onto it. I will make sure this goes on the replay so you guys can see it. And again, this is the birthday card. This would also have been really fun if we did a dark one. You could do this in dark. And then you could do the Dazzling Diamonds paper on this for Christmas. That would be beautiful with a Christmas word on here. That'll be such a really great card. But it's really fun. It's very simple. It looked like it probably took a lot of work, but honestly, it's just what you make of it. So all you're going to do is just add your ink. You can add it with your sponges. You could add it with a sponge brayer. You could add it with, where did I put it? With a sponge dauber. anything you want to do. So I can't wait to see what you guys create with this. I would love if you would upload a picture onto Rachthestamper's Facebook page. That would be really cool, and we could share some ideas for Christmas or birthday. Again, this is a really easy birthday card. All you do is you do your little wax paper. You could do a whole sheet of these at once, make 4 cards, do them all differently, would be really great. And again, the wax coverage depends on how you crinkle the paper. So if you crinkle it really, really tiny, like ball it up like you're going to throw it away, you'll get this. If you crinkle it a little bit looser, a little bit more gentle, you'll get a lot more wax paper that will actually transfer there. So I will post this video to my blog and put all the things that you need and the instructions and everything. And if you guys have any questions, you can always ask me there, or you can shoot me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. Also, if you don't have a catalog yet, you can send me an email there as well with your full name and mailing address. I'll be happy to send you one. Once again, if you leave any comment on here, you'll be entered to win. I do have a October Pining for Pumpkins paper pumpkin that I'm going to give away. Oh, that was a mouthful. For free. All you have to do is leave a comment. I'm not going to do it today. I'm not going to draw today because I do have my club tonight, but I will draw it tomorrow. So tomorrow, if you leave a comment, you'll be entered to win. Doesn't matter what comment is, just any comment, so everyone can enter once via comment, and then I will draw the name tomorrow and send it out to you. In the United States, it'll be free. If you want it somewhere else than that, if you were happen to win, you would have to pay for the shipping, and I don't know. We'll have to figure that one out. But anyway, thank you guys as always for joining. I will be back again next Wednesday. That will be November 1st at 9:30, and we'll think of some other idea. If you guys have any ideas of something you want to have demonstrated, just let me know. I'd be happy to take requests. So I'm all up for that if you guys have any ideas. And if you want to get all these supplies and more, you can go to my online store 24/7. These are all Stampin' Up! Products. You can get it at www.rachthestamper.stampinup.net. So thanks as always for watching, guys. I hope you have a great week. Be nice. Bye-bye.